I've gone super viral a couple of times this year for myself, for my parenting. And one of the most recent times I went viral was because of a post I made about my daughter on, I don't know, I think it's a made up internet holiday, but it might not be, which is National Daughters Day. So I made a daughter appreciation post that garnered a lot of attention and had my DMs quite flooded with other parents asking me how I did it. See the video. Did you start your book?
What?
Did you start your book?
Start my book?
Yes.
Yes, and I finished it.
You got your book yesterday at like 5 p.m.
4 p.m. 4:19. But who's counting?
And it is 12 noon the next day.
Yep.
And you're finished.
Yep, finished it at 7
a.m.?
Yes.
Today's National Daughter Day. And this is my firstborn and only daughter.
When did you learn that?
Like,
She's been sitting on her throne.
kind of like a week or 2 or 3 ago.
It's hard work, girl.
She's a polyglot who is working on learning a fifth language.
You're taking a break from French and Haitian Creole. You're working on your Japanese. You're doing super well.
She draws, produces music, is working on a sci-fi novel, and occasionally choreographs.
She's been coding since she was 7 and programmed an AI chatbot to help her learn French.
It's gotten smarter. Just questions you never want to ask. Would you like to start a robot uprising?
You're killing the game. I'm so impressed with you. Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Samantha Broxton. I'm a mother of 3, a wife to my college sweetheart. I work in fintech. I've been a product manager, a program manager, a commercial banker, and I am a social commentator and content creator online. I often talk about trauma-informed adulting, gentle and intentional parenting, and make commentary about things I find online from a perspective of like social-emotional health. Hello. All right, so let's get down to the thing that I feel like I needed to answer, and let's do a long-form YouTube video for this. How do you raise successful children? One of the things I need to say is, even though my daughter is supremely impressive, I am constantly impressed with her. I am so proud of her as a human and as just a person who thinks deeply and cares deeply. My goal was not necessarily to raise a child that is successful by the world standards. As we see what's happening in terms of mental, social health, the endless pursuit of money, material success, and affirmation from random people in the world, I don't think it's helpful to one's own mental health, but the health of our community of humans overall. But I will say that I am very passionate about raising children well, raising children with intention, and doing that to contribute to the overall betterment of society overall. Okay, with that said, let's talk about raising children who are going to be well-adjusted, well-rounded, pursues passions, aren't afraid to think big and try hard things. Because that's what I deem, that's my definition of raising a child to be a well-functioning, well-rounded adult who has the toolkit to be happy, create joy. I need to caveat all this with the fact that you have to consider that how many different factors go into being a human. Your socioeconomic status, your race and ethnic identity, your sexual orientation, where you live in the world, whether you're in a conflict country or not, your cognitive abilities, generational trauma and mental health. Parenting is not one size fits all because people are not one size fits all. So let's please keep that in mind while we're being parents, and let's parent to the child, noting that sometimes you're going to have to vary how you parent depending on your child's personality and what in their toolkit and what's going on with them. So let's please keep that in mind. So with that in mind, let's talk about raising successful children, raising children well, raising children successfully, raising children with intention, whatever you want to say, but just raising children to make sure that they can, as much as you can control and you can impact, live like fully. And I hear my toddler screaming. My husband's doing the best he can right now. Okay. Oh my goodness. He is irritable today. So, my recommendations for raising well-adjusted, intellectually curious, successful children, I would say, first and foremost, create a loving and supportive environment, right? Creating a nurturing atmosphere where your child feels safe and valued is very, very much integral to very much integral to their growth and development. Secondly, setting expectations, helping them develop their expectations. Some people say set high expectations, but sometimes kids can find that to be crushing, can find that to be discouraging. It all depends on the child's personality. Some children are encouraged by high expectations. Some children are discouraged by high expectations. But for me, developing expectations with your child that are above average, whatever that might look like. And this is not for every single thing. We are flexible with certain things. We set the expectation of not straight A's, but growth and knowledge. We set the expectation of not being number one, but showing up and doing your best. To me, that's what setting high expectations looks like. It's not just metrics and results, but like a mentality of being personally encouraged. Another thing I think that's really important is fostering independence. That's something we're continuously working on. We're a very tight-knit family, and this is a strength for one child than the other, but them being independent, independently being able to seek out their passions, be invested in it, and being driven to pick it up and go roll with it without being constantly pushed by a parent is really important. Another one is encouraging a growth mindset. Growth mindset is important and it's very difficult. My kid, at least one of my kids, does not naturally have a growth mindset. They're constantly battling with negative self-talk. So it is baby steps in developing a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the importance of effort and perseverance over innate talent. And that's why it's saying stuff like you're smart, it looks so easy, you're doing a great job, versus like I see you're trying. I don't expect perfection, but effort is encouraged. Not everything comes easily to everyone, and that shouldn't be the determiner whether you pursue something or not. Another thing to keep in mind is promoting a love of learning. For me, a part of that is also like promoting a love of reading. So I read heavily. I read like 40 plus books a year. I have one child who's a natural bibliophile, reads constantly. I have another child that for the longest said, I don't like to read. And I was intentional in finding them their literary love language and finding books that they would respond to and feel connected with. And through that, they were able to finally say, it's not that I don't love to read. It's just like I have particular reading tastes, and that is fine. Another thing to do is, which is hard, is teaching time management and organization. That's one of our constant works in process. And I think that goes along with what you do as a parent, as a steward, as a coach, as a support system, is helping them develop that skill set. Executive function does not come naturally to all kids. I have one kid that has very high executive function and another one that I literally am like setting timers and doing reminders and using all the tools that I can to help them like keep track of their time. Being a positive role model is very difficult for kids to be what they don't see. And so I try to be present, encouraging, to set an example, to communicate my journey, what I'm doing, what I have done, what I've struggled with, what I I've struggled with and continue to struggle with. I want them to learn from me to help inform their journey, right? So being a positive role model, exhibiting the qualities and behaviors that you want them to exhibit. Like you need to show a growth mindset, a positive mindset, great time management skills that will help them in the long haul. Another thing that's super helpful is teaching them how to fail, encouraging resilience. Failure is a part of the journey. You know what I mean? Teaching them that that is natural and to not be discouraged about it. And it also goes hand in hand with the growth mindset. So failing well is super important. Supporting their passions. My kids constantly come to me with another thing, my daughter especially, that she wants to try, that she wants to do. And I don't question it. Like, if that's too much, what about this? I go, okay, all right, let's try it. And I try not to be a barrier. I try not to be a glass ceiling. I try to be like a resource and a partner in her passions. And that has helped her go very far and just feeling more confident and being more bold. Another thing is providing opportunities for social development. When my daughter was 5 years old, she came to me and said she wanted to build autonomous vehicles. I did a lot of research and found that a lot of the organizations were pretty much preying on parents who did not want their kids to be left behind as STEAM and technology and AI started to really take up. And I found an organization, Black Girls Code, that was doing no to low cost opportunities and for girls of color around the world to be hands-on and involved in STEM, create connections, create a network. And living in a predominantly non-Black community where it's very hard to navigate. And I grew up in a very diverse community in South Florida, where I had friends from all over the world, all the socioeconomic backgrounds, all the academic backgrounds, all of the cultural and backgrounds that you can imagine. And it's very much more segregated and isolated in Southern California. So I had to go above and beyond to make sure she had community. So from, 6.5 on, my daughter has been involved in Black Girls Code. She's been exposed to AI. She's connected with folks at Google, at major tech firms, at major nonprofits focused on the advancement of people of color, women, and equity in tech overall. And that's also helped her confidence. So I've created a community. She stated something and I worked to create opportunities for her to pursue that. Another thing to keep in mind is every child's unique. Every journey looks different. I don't want my child to be copy and paste something else. My goal is not necessarily her to found $1 billion company and become like an oppressive machine for inequality and whatever the world looks like when she's an adult. But I want her to be a force for good. I want her to be creative. I want her to like herself and like the things that she's working on. I want to equip her to navigate the world, but also navigate her emotions and herself. So if you're looking to have a child that you think will be able to be successful, but also not just successful by a very narrow definition of success, but holistically well-rounded, these are some food for thought and some things to consider. Thanks for being interested in my thoughts and ideas. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads at Raising Self, where I share lots of tidbits about parenting, culture, life, society, and the like. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Me realizing I was not looking at the camera for a 99% of this video.